COVID-19 is real. Yes, it is true that COVID-19 kills. Yes, it is true that if we respect the barrier measures of COVID-19, we will help reduce the spread of the deadly pandemic. The pandemic signaled its presence last year within March 20th. At that time, Cameroon's government decided to shut down the borders late March, when many Cameroonians were expecting that the government would shut down the borders a bit February. But yet, we played low and lie low and allowed the borders to be open. The last contingency of people who entered the country, few were spotted with COVID-19, others bribed their way and spread the virus, thanks to the polemic nature in which our forces of law and orders usually operate. Along this line, Cameroon's Prime Minister, Chief Dr. Joseph Dongute, of recent decided that he will address the nation as far as COVID-19 is concerned. Earlier this week, we had 3 ministers during a joint press conference stressing on the need for revisiting barrier measures because of the increase in the rate of COVID-19. Yes, it is true that COVID-19 rate has increased in Cameroon and many more Cameroonians are being infected daily. Whether you believe that the disease is real or not, nothing will stop the fact that scientists in Cameroon and the medical practitioners in Cameroon keep reporting that many people are dying of COVID-19. Chief Dr. Joseph Dongute, in his normal calm nature, took the pain to stress on the need of respecting COVID-19 and indicated that we must respect the barrier measures. We must reduce gathering of people to 50 maximum, that we must institute frequent washing of hands, compulsory face mask wearing, and in that light, he stated that others' events must be respected. Within the same line, the Women's Day celebration was suspended, but there is a problem here. I see it that we are robbing Peter to pay Paul. Why are we robbing Peter to pay Paul? Or are we really serious in the fight against COVID-19? These are questions that ordinary Cameroonian on the street will ask on a daily basis. For example, if you are to go to Boya from Douala, the buses are still very much crowded. Normally, they are supposed to take their normal population, but yet they add others. And when they meet the control on the way, they still give their normal bribe. In this regard, you pass and pay. Another issue here is the nightclubs are still very active. Markets, go to Moya Market as you speak right now. Bonang Musa the market. You have more than 50 people gathered. Ndokoti roundabout with the bikes around Dokoti Market. All these are still avenues where we can rapidly spread the virus. So, to me, we need to look at these issues while fighting against COVID-19. This is House of Commons with me, Tamai Jarvis, and that was my editorial for today. And now let's go down straight to business. Cameroon is a nation which is located in West and Central Africa. Depends on where your geology and your economics will tell you. In a political manifesto, we are in Central Africa. In my geology classes, I was told it is in West Africa. Today's edition, we are looking at the road in which Cameroon have played all along and looking at the constitution and if constitutional amendment will help resolve the ongoing Anglophone crisis, which started in 2016 actively. Just to give you this clear fact that the crisis did not start in 2016 per se, but the activeness of the crisis was in 2016, because before 2016 there have been some infighting as far as agitation with Anglophone marginalization. Here in the studio we have gentlemen with whom we are going to continue on our discussion. They are talking based on their individual position and opinion, and regardless of what they say, they take full responsibility of their words. Here in the studio we have no other person than Professor Mark Akumbong, who is a Pan-Africanist and has been a frequent panelist of our program. He is here today to talk about constitutional amendment if it will help solve or pave the way to reduce the conflict in North and Southwest region and that in North region of Cameroon. Professor Akumbong Mark, it's a privilege to have you. Happy Sunday.
Thank you very much, Tamai Jarvis, and to my fellow panelists, to you, million viewers out there watching at us this particular hour. It is another day for education, and I believe that what we'll be discussing here as our opinions will be a guide to our leadership on how to deal with the problem that we have in the Northwest and Southwest. Why not also that in the East, and why not that in the North region of Cameroon? I believe that if this nation is going to take its peaceful positioning, then it is necessary that those leading and actually managing this country should be able to give listening ears to opinions of individuals who are willing to give their own contributions. Time has come where no individual is more Cameroonian than the other, and I think that at a moment like this, those who need to listen should listen.
Here in the studio, we also have someone who is a civil society advocate. We have two civil society here present, to be more precise. We have someone who is always with us here, though for 3 edition he's not been there, and he's been through the thin and thick, has gone to Bamenda and back. Is Mr. Diwum Emmanuel. We believe we will get first-hand information as to the situation in Bamenda. Diwum Emmanuel, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Tolaima Bobe. Without much ado, I want to greet all the million viewers of this prestigious program. Good afternoon, Babaju. Good afternoon, Santa. Good afternoon, Matazam. I can imagine those who are dropping off their buses at this particular point to drop their ID cards or to drop 2,000 francs because they are not having face masks or otherwise. And we have listeners and viewers of this program. I greet you. Special greetings to Bobe Simon, you're watching from Bamenda, and the Law Eric, who are the people who are carrying the voices of the program House of Commons in Bamenda. And a special Sunday to Mr. Elvis, whom I'm sharing the platform for the first time. Of course, I hope it's going to be a nice and educative debate. Thank you, Tamajabi.
Of course, here in the studio, we also have someone who is from the Cameroon's Renaissance movement. He is a deputy communication secretary as far as that rank is concerned in the party. Somehow like a vice minister of communication or minister of communication within the CRM party. You know him as Kangaroo Man. He is Fai Elvis Tayang. He's someone who believes that things must be said the way they are, and he always say Yaoundé, take down note. I hope Fai today is going to take down note.
Yeah, thank you. It's my pleasure. Greetings to the millions of viewers right away. Greetings to the people of Gunoko village who are listening to us right away, Royal Majesty Dr. Fomuki Walters, and to the people of Mbemi village, Royal Majesty von Babit, and also to the fond of Barakwe, who are all custodians of traditions. You know, it's a pleasure being here today, and special greetings to the President-elect Professor Maurice Kamto, and of course a host of CRM members. And probably just to cue in that apart from wearing the political cap, where I act as a deputy communication secretary, I think also a member of the Southwest multi-sectoral task force for the fight against COVID-19, which is a combination of media men and officials from the Southwest Regional Delegation of Public Health and communication. Of course, we have been doing what we can to also ensure that we stamp out COVID-19 within the sphere of the Southwest region, which we still think that more has to be done. But then we think that things must be put straight, and if stakeholders were calling a spade and a diggers, I'm sure would have come out of this quagmire. But I'm surprised I'm not seeing any member of the ruling party present here, because they are the ones who have put us where we are today.
Thank you very much. And we also have Mr. Mayor Elvis, Ernest, who is someone who is a civil society advocate, civil society activist, and he has been to the thing and the thick, and has been to the field several times, and has been in the north region of the country, where he understands some of the plight of the people in that locality, and why not those in the north and southwest region. Welcome, sir, and a privilege to have you.
Thank you, Jarvis. It's a pleasure being in this platform. I want to give a special shout out to the viewers of my Media Prime, and particularly to the fans of House of Commons. It is a pleasure sharing information with you. Jarvis, you know, in any setting, when things get wrong, there is the consideration to start a base. We understand that a constitution is the foundation on which every nation is built. And when there is ever a crisis, an uprising, a revolution, there is the need for the foundation of the society to be reviewed so that it can be built on a more solid foundation. So it will be good, as we will be looking into, if a constitutional amendment can actually bring about an end to the crisis in the northwest and southwest regions and other parts of the country that have been affected by crisis. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I dive straight to you, Mr. Pave. I'll begin this program with you. We're talking about the crisis in the north, west, and southwest region. Many are of the opinion that if the constitution is amended, putting the presidency to be rotatory in such a way that mandates are given to those from the French-speaking area, and the next time a candidate is produced from the northwest and southwest region, vis-a-vis looking at other aspects in terms of restructuring the constitution to give it a federal form, or people should talk more about looking more into the structure of the constitution. In your opinion, as a politician and also a journalist who is an investigative journalist, do you believe that with the amendment of the constitution, it will help pave the way for the crisis to be resolved? And if we are to amend the constitution, what are some of the consideration or points that we must amend to resolve the impasse in the northern southwest region?
Well, talking about constitutional amendment, you know, I've watched several platforms that talk about constitutional amendments and all the like, but we forget to understand exactly where we are. The amendment of the constitution is not the issue as per se. The issue is the application of the amendment. And so you realize that if constitution was amended in 1996, and we're talking about regional devolving powers, local to local administration and all the like, and it's taken almost 25 years, it tells you that it's the same quagmire that we'll find ourselves. And so when you look at it for constitutional amendment, all what people are proposing, rotatory system of government and all the like, those ideas are moving well. But the question is, do we have a credible government? Do we have a sincere government that can put in place constitutional amendments and it holds? Now you realize that under public administration, there's what we call political accountability. And the moment the governed are no longer accountable to the governors, it becomes a problem. And in this case, you realize that once this occurs for a given period of time, you record what we call breach of trust. And once breach of trust is established, it becomes difficult, even if you put the Pope on that seat of the presidency to enact some changes, people will still look at it as a ping-pong maneuver. And that's the more reason why we say that at our level of what we look at things, probably as a political analyst before coming to where I belong, I say that the issue of amendment here is far-fetched from what we're talking about. If we want to resolve the Anglophone crisis, the first thing is that those who caused the problem must go on vacation. I am very serious about that. Yaoundé, listen very well. If you think that constitutional amendment, you'll be fooling us, because look at what they said. We're talking about regional elections. They say they are devoting powers to this and that. Look at the recent quagmire that occurred in Douala 1 Council. Now, you see? Now, this is somebody who said, this is the mayor, Malapa, who just simply said that they want to suspend the school just for this short time so that they disband the schools before schools resume, for the next schools. It's a good move. But you know, with the power tussle that I said, Yaoundé gives you the goat and then holds the rope. Now the SDO comes in, and to show you that he's lot of lot, he comes in and lots over and crashed down the communique from the landmark, which was a good initiative. So at the end of it, look at the regional councils that were put in place.
Stating that the mayor was unprofessional.
Yeah, and he even said he was unprofessional. But if you look at it, if he meant business, he would have even called the mayor, probably, because nothing stops you from coming to your office and say, please just try to correct that statement because you are supposed to have passed through my office. But you know, taking it publicly, no, you see, it's a way of humiliating another auxiliary, another administrative official.
Elected,
for that matter, elected. That's humiliating an elected official, whereas you are simply appointed official. So if you look at it, Yaoundé, as a kangaroo system of the first order, has nothing to offer in terms of the story we're talking about constitutional amendment. The only thing we can accept, and we think that it can go, is if we get new dispositions put in place. Even if it's transitional government for 3 years, and then they put in place amendment of the constitutions, they begin to apply them, and then we get now real persons who have to lead after the 3 years transitional period, I'm sure it will make some sense. Anybody dreaming that constitutional amendment as per this present quagmire kangaroo system in Yaoundé, it will be a far-fetched dream that will just be wasting our calories for no good reason.
Maybe I come to you in the room for moving to Professor Mark and the other side. If we had to amend the constitution, you are from Bamenda. You've been to Bamenda, I think, for 5 days or more. Looking at the present dispensation, if the constitution is to be amended, will this help pave the way or reduce the conflict in the north and southwest region? Let's say give for example, rotation, make the presidency rotatory, and just in terms of vice president must come, create the post of a vice president must come from the northwest or from the Anglophone region. President comes this time from this side, and prime minister, vice president comes from this side. The prime minister is this, the deputy prime minister is this, the speaker should be this, that.
Well, Tama Jarvis, before I place a finger on your question, Cameroon has a lot of problems that I think even if we had to hire counting experts from Jupiter, they will not be able to count the problems of Cameroon in a year. And this northwest and southwest crisis only stands out tall from other problems because it is historical and political. I know that Yaoundé is very angry at this crisis because it is historical and political. Hard facts. And such facts are not shot with the guns. Otherwise, these facts would have been shot and killed long ago. Now, to come back to your question, someone who says yes or no to this question is not genuine with his citizenship as a Cameroonian. Now, to make an attempt to answer this question, let's look at how Cameroon has been governed for the past 39, 40 years. Let's look at where we are coming from and how we have been moving to where we dream we are going to. Then you discover that the northwest southwest crisis are born out of the willful, I use the word willful, and I wear my weight to it, willful violation of the 1961 Constitution, which should be the genesis of the northwest southwest crisis. Just like a church that is governed by the Holy Bible and the 10 Commandments, each nation should be governed by the Constitution. But unfortunately, at the moment that I speak to you, I, as a citizen of Cameroon, feel as Cameroon has got no constitution as of the moment. Because if there was a constitution...
What do you mean by Cameroon?
Listen, I have the floor.
No, I'm cueing you in. I'm asking what do you mean by we don't have constitution?
Yes.
For which we have presidential mandates, we have a period of elections to be called up, we have the commander-in-chief of the armed force, we have the legal laws binding the nation, people are being held accountable, embezzlers are sent to Kundengi.
Exactly, you have touched where I was going to land. Do you know that people often make this confusion to say that Cameroon has 3 arms of government, of which in reality we have 1 arm of government, the executive arm of government. Apart from the executive arm of government in Cameroon, there exists no other arm of government. That's 1. 2, in Cameroon, they believe in one God in Yaoundé, not the constitution of the country. That's why I told you that there is no constitution in Cameroon as of now. What we have a group of old schoolmates.
You take responsibility.
Yes, we have a group of old schoolmates that have successfully held Cameroon hostage, protected by the legal institutions of the country. Because if Cameroon was having a constitution that was respected, then the place of the parliamentarians would have been there to control government action. But it is the other way around. The government controls the action of the parliamentarians. If Cameroon was having a constitution, we would have known that in this constitution, the Cameroonians decide what happens. Not one man that gets up one day and decides to change the constitution to add the number of years that the president is supposed to the term of the presidential office. But in a country where the constitution has been trampled upon by a few people, because it is not the wish of the Cameroonians that the constitution should be violated, but it is the wish of a few persons who have successfully held Cameroon hostage. I now come to answer your question that with the constitutional amendment, with the same government in place and with the same people, nothing can change. Okay. So we need a complete overhaul of the government in place, a reconciliation, and mind you, we are talking about constitutional reform. It is a Romo. We have not heard it from the high top of the country to know whether it is true, it is founded or not.
Thank you.
And again, before I pass the microphone, and even if we are talking about the constitutional amendment, the content, the nature, and the worst of all, the implementation of it should be what we should be focused at.
Okay, we're coming back to you. Professor Akumong, if we are to amend the constitution, what are the possible areas that you think, when touched, will help reduce this present conflict that we face in Cameroon?
Thank you for that question, Jarvis. Before I get to attempt your question, I want to remind us that Cameroon is a failed experience when it comes to republicanism. Considering the fact that in 1960, the Republic of Cameroon had its independence, and the Southern Cameroons actually made up its mind through a plebiscite to gain its independence through unification with the then La Republique du Cameroun to form what we call the Federal Republic of Cameroon, on which a constitution was supposed to be drafted, a bilateral sitting, on bilateral sittings. But that constitution was not done that way. The president of the then La Republique du Cameroun, Aijo, drew his constitution or amended the constitution of La Republique du Cameroun in Yaoundé, then came with a draft. It is said that he sent a draft to Foncha, but in Fumban, where the constitutional council, let me put it like that, the bilateral constitutional council was supposed to sit, it was on the last day of that particular, it was meant to be a conference, a constitutional conference. But it was on the last day that constitutional matters were brought up and to be discussed for 90 minutes. And what came up was a constitution that was unilaterally adopted, passed forward. And when the people wanted to object, it was really difficult because their main person who brought them there was against them on the table. That was Poncha. And so finally, they could not draft a constitution that would favor both sides. And so indirectly, La République du Cameroun then brought in Southern Cameroons. They created what we call the Federal Republic of Cameroon based on that constitution of 1960. And in 1972, because I will say something, there was something that Foncha, whom Aijo knew he had co-opted and corrupted, who accept that they should write in that constitution one and indivisible. But Foncha said no. We do not want this word, one and indivisible. Should remove it from there. And that was removed.
So the one and indivisibility was removed from the initial constitution?
From the initial constitution was removed. In 1972, when Aijo came up with the machination, the evil machination of, let me use the word, assimilating a people who had come with good faith to actually create a loving, united nation, country. With that machination, they were put to one side, brought into, like, you hear this word, people use the word annexed. Because that was contrary to all the international prescriptions that came along, as me quote, if I want to quote back, if you go to resolution 1352, you come to resolution 1514 and 1452, I think. Then you come to resolution 1608. You find the international status of the then Southern Cameroon, which means that they were supposed to sit down as two persons, come up with a constitution that will be fitting. And so that is where the problem in the Northwest, Southwest is found. In 1972, even what was done was cancelled. And then that idea of one and indivisible was reinstituted in 1972, in the 1972 Constitution. And it is the 1972 Constitution that was amended in 1996, which we are today using. Which implies that if we have to be able to solve the problem, because I'll be sincere, the so-called Anglophone problem is a constitutional problem.
Which means that we need constitutional reforms.
It is not a constitutional reform. It is a new drafting of a constitution. They need to draft a new constitution because the present constitution does not hold. I will give you my reasons. If you enter our present constitution, in the first part of this constitution, you hear it is declared that Cameroon is a republic. The word republic actually comes from a Latin word, res publicus. Res means things or affair, and publicus actually means the people or public, which implies that republican should mean the management of the people, implying that the constitution is born on three main doctrines. You have the doctrine of the popular sovereignty, which means the people are the supreme power in Cameroon. They are supposed to. Secondly, you have separation of power, like Mr. Ndeum actually mentioned. And thirdly, you have the republican status. But look at it. When you come to the constitution which we are using,
okay,
you discover that they fail to realize there are two people, but they talk of bilingualism. There is no structural system that is existing in the world. Can I just land?
So
there is no structural constitution or structure in the world that is bilingual. Wheresoever there is multiculturalism in existence in any nation, the structure of the nation, that you discover that the various cultures grow. They have autonomy.
Okay.
They grow from an autonomous direction while working together. Let's quote Canada. Canada is not like Cameroon. We might quote it. It's a federation. Let's talk of Switzerland. Switzerland is a combination of three different cultures brought together. They did not mix the cultures, and they do not use better languages. Okay. So in Cameroon, culturalism has been reduced to linguistics.
Linguistic issues,
yes.
Less of the roots. Okay.
So that becomes a problem which is going to keep on even if we keep pretending about it.
Okay.
So it is necessary that the Cameroon government thinks on going back to build a system that is going to accommodate the two different cultures that do exist in this nation of Cameroon.
Thank you, Professor Marco. We're coming back to you. Mr. May Enes, if you are a civil society, and in conflict like this that we find ourselves in north and the southwest region of the country, and you have been to the north, I believe that we still have some problems, like because of recent we saw a video that surfaced where a group of militia calling themselves on the million or something like that, threatening the state with a possible armed conflict. And do you think that if the constitution is amended, it will help solve some of these internal wrangling?
Mr. Mai, before we look at that question, I would like to point out the constitutional evolution of Cameroon and the problems it created for Cameroon. We will look at the 1960 constitution. That was a constitution that Cameroon used for its independence, the Republic of Cameroon. And that constitution was modeled to the French model. In 1961, during the federation, a federal constitution was drawn up. The two peoples that came together to make up Cameroon had their interests protected by that constitution. We see a minor amendment of that constitution in 1965, and it is consolidated in 1969, where the selection process of the prime minister of the then West Cameroon is being altered. This is a primordial character of reducing the power of the people in deciding in their fate. And this has been the bedrock of the crisis facing Cameroon. You understand in constitutional law that for any nation to come into existence, it's a group of people that come together to state what they aspire to achieve as a group of people, and it is enacted in a constitution. This in Cameroon has been done without taking into considerations the various ethnic representation of Cameroon. It is stated that Cameroon has over 250 ethnic groups. These groups, to keep them working together, we need to look for a base where every aspect of the culture of the people is protected and respected, while we aspire to a greater union together. We will look at what is plaguing Cameroon today as problems, including the problem of the Northwest and Southwest. Is the common existence of the people. You will see a chauvinistic show of the attribute of other cultures, which is detrimental to the peaceful existence of the people. We need to protect the cultures of the people through a constitutional provision. We need to protect the values of the people through a constitutional provision. Cameroon, as it is of today, has a problem of application of laws. We need to look.
Similar thing that was Fight talked about.
Yes, we need to look. We have seen the 1972 constitution was never fully implemented. The 1996 constitution was never fully implemented. The semi-autonomous regions that emanated from the provinces never came into existence. And today we are seeing a procedure that is trying to put these semi-autonomous regions into practice. But what obtains in practice is like a caricature painting. It is nothing reminiscent of what was dreamt of by the people who were writing that constitution. And if we actually want this country to stand on its feet and move forward, and that we should look together in one direction as a people, we need to sit down and look into the values of every individual composition of the country. You will see that the manifestations of 10 millions de Nordistes, Mouvement de Libération du Cameroun, if we have to sit down as a people and come out with the foundation that is going to keep us together, we are going to achieve a lot of things. Let me say this again. You understand, I'm a fan of the word of God. It says in Proverbs that when the foundation is out of place, what can the righteous do? Let me tell you, if we don't have a solid constitution that is implemented, even if you bring the best manager in the world, even if you bring the president of Russia to stand and correct the issues of Cameroon, he's not going to succeed because the foundation is already out of place. No righteous man can do anything good. And that we should take into consideration and think of how we should come together as a people and redefine our destiny.
Okay, the very first constitutional amendment is that the post of the Prime Minister should be given to should be given to La Republique, and the President should be given to Southern Cameroonian. It's coming from George Mukom from Kumba, that the post of the Prime Minister should be given to La Republique, and the post of the President should be given to a Southern Cameroonian. That is his own opinion as far as this topic is concerned. And this other right reads, he says, happy Sunday to you all in the studio. Just want you to know that Cameroon has no constitution for now until the existing government is dissolved. Cameroon having 3 arms, but is being ruled by one person. If we had a constitution and have been following the constitution, the Anglophone crisis shouldn't have extended this number of years. Mazi for Mamfi. This one reads, it says, good afternoon, good day. The presence of Pave and Mr. Dion Emmanuel is a clear indication that the program will hit the intended dividend until the 2 Anglophone regions, the other 8 regions are satisfied with the current state of affairs. In Gole Hane from Limbe. This other reads, it says, good afternoon to you all in the studio. Kudos. Well said. Only the ears that year will hear. Greetings to you is coming from Fai John Bayon. Fai Elvis Tayon. I come back to you. The aspect of the constitutional amendment. We've seen that from when we started from the provinces. We move on the provinces. We had the regions. From the regions to provinces. Provinces, we are now back to the regions, and nothing seems to be changing. We equally look at the aspect of from 1990. The French Cameroon was ruled by the French newspaper ordinance law, which was instituted in France in 1889, that became applicable in 1921 in La Republique du Cameroun. And within that period of time, while the British Southern Cameroon were ruled by the Nigerian newspaper ordinance law of 1914, that was implemented in Cameroon in British Southern Cameroon in 1917. And this law of the British Southern Cameroon gave freedom of speech, freedom of expression. Multi-party politics was introduced in British Southern Cameroon, whereas in French Cameroon, under the 1921 law, which Mbale was banned in 1929, the French newspaper was banned in 1929, which did not give freedom of the press. And look at the fact that these two entities, one had freedom of the press, one did not have freedom, and merging these two cultures together in 1961 during the Fuman Conference, coming out to existence, where we had a modification from 1989, there was 81, there was modification. After the coup d'etat, there was modification. We come to 1990, modification to give freedom of mass communication, freedom of speech, and 1996, modification to pave the way for effective decentralization. And now we are now talking about accelerated decentralization. Where are we as far as amending this constitution is concerned? I just gave that the brief summary so that whoever is watching should understand where we are coming from.
Where we are is that we are in a confused state. In fact, when you see somebody tell you using different slogans, decentralization now, accelerated decentralization, or the like, it tells you that they are already confused. The system Yaoundé regime put in place shortly after they gained their independence is carefully tasked to assimilate these parts of the country called the English-speaking into theirs. When President Pave was talking in France of recent, I'm sure people heard it. I'm not the only one talking. No? He said it. We tried to assimilate them.
On avait la possibilité de les intégrer.
The evidences are clear on the ground. Yaoundé. It is President Pave who said it, though. I'm only quoting. Hear very well. He said it. So if you look at it critically, you realize that, like what our civil society man of God here said, when the foundation has a problem, even wise men cannot fully correct it, because what we are saying here, we are just talking in the air, we are blowing in hot air. Why do I say so? How do you tell me that I should be able to join Mr. B or Mr. A, that by joining that person I gain independence? I meet somebody in the Republic who had his own independence, and you tell me that I should decide whether I stay in Nigeria or I will automatically get independence by joining. It means an accord between both parties has not been established. Because if you tell me by joining the French-speaking part of the country,
joining and to say something,
yep.
The word joining in the UN charter
yep.
actually defines joining as
Yep.
free association.
Free association. But if you tell me, if I join, it means I'll join by getting independence. It means that any status quo that you had established, I'll only come in and follow. But now it undermines my own presence because I will be a second fiddle to the role of the union where we have. And then you come somewhere in the constitution and you state that we will have, Cameroon is bilingual, we have English and French, and the language will be of equal status. How do I join you by gaining independence and at the same time I have equal status? When it has been proven that the agenda of it is that French has more position and value within the country than English language. Can you imagine that even we're talking about in the midst of the COVID-19, you bear with me, I don't know if the state officials understood what they did. Because I listened to the news, a communique comes out in English about COVID-19, and it is first presented in French. And they tell me in that media organ I was listening that for English language will come later. Does this sound? That is madness of the first order. Yaoundé hear that very well. You both think that we are fools. You sit there and you assimilate the English speaking part. And they too come. You present a communique in a news that you call bilingual news. And you tell me that let me listen first to the one in French. Why could you not wait for all of them to be ready? Was that any hurry that you must issue one first in French? And then I go and wait for us before getting, you tell me that the one for English is still being recorded. Why did you record French version first before English? And you tell me the constitution that both languages are of equal status.
Is it not the role now of bilingualism commission to probe into that?
Bilingual commission had failed on arrival. That one is another toothless bulldog that is wasting government's budget. All those commissions put together, in fact, they are non-entity commissions. They know what I'm talking about.
I want you to clarify this based on what you're saying.
Yes.
If the state has put, when the conflict started, the state realized that there was need for bilingualism and multiculturalism commission to put in place so that they can harmonize and restructure the culture. And you're saying that this is a non-entity body, a body that is mandated by the constitution.
Commission. I have said you don't have any place. You are just wasting time and budget. Because if you have this commission, what are the parameters of the functionality of this commission? One, you simply make proposals and send. They don't have the capacity to punish. Hate speech has been on the agenda. We even saw a chief in the Southwest propagating hate speech consistently, and it went unnoticed until even the Prime Minister came there and took the matter lightly at Mountain Hotel. An issue was supposed the Prime Minister to hit the table and said no, it cannot go. And this person concerned should be punished. He only came and cajoled them and pampered them. Is that a commission that has anything to do? They think that we are fools. Those commissions are paperwork with no work, because the moment I am giving, you have a presidential decree. They create you. Without empowering you to enforce sanctions vis-a-vis your activities, you have no use, because at the end of it, you only propose and send to the presidency. The president can decide to punish as well as not to punish. What is your essence? All those commissions we are talking here can never solve the crisis until Yaoundé government goes on leave. When they go on leave, you don't need these commissions again. Because when right persons are put in place, I repeat, when the right persons are put in place, you have Minister of Arts and Culture, you have the various departments that are there, even we have bilingualism department service in the secondary education, basic education, and all the like. And then you have also what we call the schools that is the professional school linked to the presidency, the linguistic centers. These are all schools that are supposed to be promoting bilingualism. Now, if you come out with a commission and you hear one of the press conferences that was organized in Yaoundé, they asked the president of that commission, what about hate speech? What can you do? I simply said, no, there's a provision of the law, quoting international charters and all the like. No, we need a commission that if Triumph Elvis gets up and is a minister and publishes communique only in English, leaving French, he should hold me to book. I should be punished for not putting French and English of equal status. So at the end of it, These guys think that we are fools. Yaoundé, we are no longer fools. Oh.
Okay, those of you watching us on Facebook, Nikong, Metre, Nikong, no amount of any internal panel beating, whatever it might be between Southern Cameroon and the Republic of Cameroon will ever work due to bad faith on the part of Yaoundé authorities. Godi Yonkon, Godi says, happy Sunday, House of Commons. Happy Sunday from Bamenda. Javis is coming from Emile Lifote on Facebook. Mayor Benjamin, thanks, Prof. Well said, well spoken, no constitution in Cameroon. This other one, Auru Romarik. I think he's a friend of mine. He says, we need a new constitution only if we want to work as one country. This other one read, he says, happy Sunday to you. It's coming from Tumer Cosme. Godi says, hello, Mr. Javis and Fai. This one reads, he says, Eric Tangui, he says, let truth prevail. Sombendi Ndimemti. Wow, Mr. Fai, my main man, so excited whenever you are on the platform. Backland Prosper, I don't know the name that we can call the country. This one read, Eric Tangwe says, you are talking, my brother. I guess Emmanuel is more explicit. This is coming from Tadi Setua. Bio Besson Kennedy, I get one beer for you. Wuru confirm Javis, La Republic is in Central Africa, Southern Cameroon is in West Africa. It's coming from William Chess CB. Prof. Kito says nothing can make. Thank you very much, Prof. Kito. Prof. Thank you, Prof. Tell those panelists who are beating around the bush, say it as it is, Prof. With no fear. Over. I hope when it comes, you will be there to assist Prof.
Stand by, Prof.
Where we shall be answered upon again. I hope that they will come to also assist in moving on.
I hope they will be there to assist you in case the tide is turned around. But anyway, let's go back straight to business. Do Emmanuel briefly, so we'll move on the next part of this constitutional amendment. If the post of the Prime Minister is to be given to, is it not time for the post of the Prime Minister be given to a Francophone and the post of the President be given to Anglophone as for the new constitutional amendment?
Please, briefly. I do not want to go to the nitty-gritties of the 1960-1961 independence of La République, reunification of Southern Cameroon and La République, because that's why I said the genesis of the crisis in Northwest Southwest emanating from the willful violation of the 1961 constitution. In this constitution, he says something very important. French and English was to have equal status quo, which has not been the same, the same thing respected today. But the shame that I find myself in is that most of these communiques are read by our Anglophone elites who are hand clapping in Yaoundé. So they are not read by the Francophone counterparts. That's one. Anglophones, by definition, because some of them are writing that what I keep saying Anglophones, there's no Anglophone, Francophone. There is Anglophone in this country. And I would define Anglophones to you in this country as 100% genetic material from the Northwest and Southwest by origin.
So those who have, if my father comes from Northwest and my mother comes from the littoral region, Anglophone. I'm not an Anglophone.
Anglophone is not defined from.
You say 100%.
Yes.
So if 50%, my mother is from the Southwest, South region.
100% and 50% genetic material from Northwest and Southwest.
Okay, you are now amending your definition.
Yes.
As we need to amend the constitution.
Yes, makes you an Anglophone. But in the constitution, they look at it mathematically. We were just 1 feet, and they carried the higher part. But as two people who came together, they were supposed to be equal status in every administrative, legislative, and every sphere of life in Cameroon. But that has not been the case. Now we look at all communiques. When they say the communiques, they are always coming out. There is no gainsaying about that. There is no debate, which means that French has 80% dominance over English, because even with the Francophone, when you go to Yaoundé, some of them openly tells you je ne comprends pas votre patois là. They even call the English patois. Yes. And you remember that in the wake of the beginning of this crisis, I was a fervent listener to one national station in this country. I got ministers on air saying it clear that la minorité ne peut jamais dicter comment on peut gouverner ce pays. And it beats my imagination that till date, they are still on seat. Some of them even went as far as calling us dogs. And they were created new rooms with good climatized air conditioners there. And they were promoted. Some people got promoted because they insulted Anglophones in this country. So we think when we are talking about this constitution, it is not really like the constitution at first was not there. It was supposed to have been there, but it made us to understand that there was no constitution because their words, their hate speech, their way of governance has replaced the constitution. And to answer your question before I face out, you are talking about the post of the prime minister. Please, I'm not interested. The prime minister has no use in this.
That's
country.
what I'm saying. That isn't it time. Let's say the constitution should be amended in such a way that
I got
the post of the prime minister is given to the to the other 8 regions, and the post of the president is given to.
Let me answer your question.
Those of northern South.
Rather, I will tell you that the post of the prime minister should be scrapped off. It should be deleted completely. I have told you in this country, on this same platform, that the institution in this country that serve us are nothing. Yeah. Senate should be abolished, and those who are senators even flock in the public. Yes, we have not seen what they have been squandering the government money for nothing.
You take responsibility.
No, it has been of no use for Cameroon. They have to start out in the public. Apologize for Cameroonians for fooling Cameroonians in the name of Senate for so long.
Thank you.
We don't need that.
Professor Akumo, Senator Kmer Henry, one of the SDF senators, said if he's made president today, the Senate keep operating the way it is, he will close it down in the next morning.
No, but he's a CBDM stooge. What are you saying?
He spoke whatever he said, he might speak from his position of experience. I'm not part of his experience. But in relation to my observation as a concerned Republican, I want to say something. When you go to the Constitution of 1996 and you find the doctrines that it preaches, you see the practice on the ground, you get to be annoyed, really, really annoyed. I cited something here when I was talking, and I pinpoint on the idea of bilingualism. They say Cameroon is a bilingual. Have you ever seen a bilingual republic anywhere? There is no structure called bilingual. There is none.
Bilingual republic.
It is strange.
But there is always a first time now, Prof. Maybe anyway, Cameroon is the first state that is a bilingual state.
It is the first,
and
it is a
other
failed
states may
experience.
too soon follow.
It is already a failed experience from its beginning. That's why I said Cameroon is a failed experience. It's an experience that they struggle to put up, where they take two asymmetrical cultures and they struggle to bring them together, where they claim that they are of equal status. You can't talk of cultures because you are bringing two people of socio-cultural differences, two different socio-cultural
Anyway,
differences.
let's go straight to the constitution.
Yeah, this is the constitution I'm talking. You bring people from two socio-cultural differences which are asymmetrical, two languages that are not the same, then you claim that they have equal status. That is a primary problem. It is a primary problem in the constitution. And I talked of the separation of power. When you look at the whole idea of separation of power in the so-called 1996 constitution, you discover that the framers of that particular constitution had something in their mind. But look at it. They give powers to the executive to appoint legislators. You just asked me about the senators. Why should the president nominate senators?
3 senators per region.
Why should, that's 30% of the senators of this country are supposed to be appointed by the executive arm. I have never seen that anywhere.
It's in France.
No. Let me remind you, this constitution is a constitution that is formulated after the Fifth Republic in France. It's no more applicable.
So we are still in the French Republic.
Yes.
That's what you are saying in essence.
Yes.
So we are
So
fit here in
with
retrospect.
that kind of bad faith, where they remove all power from the legislators. You can't claim here that we have a legislative arm in Cameroon. Neither do we have a judicial.
Why can't we claim that we have a legislative arm
Reason-
where we are just from the municipal and legislative election?
You see-
We are just from the. No, let me land.
No, you are
let me
taking my
land.
time. Let me just end my talk. You can't claim that there's legislative election or whatsoever and they are legislators when in real sense they are being appointed. And then at the end of the day, when you come into the constitution tells you these guys that you, the populace, vote for, they are national representative. They do not represent their constituencies. I don't know where that is coming from, but it has a problem.
Yes.
And apart from that, you claim that the very senators that some are elected, some are appointed by the president, have now power over their constituencies, but in real sense, they are toothless bulldog. They do not have a function. I get to feel like Cameroonians, the framers of that constitution thought Cameroonians were stupid. Because I'm looking at the framers of the constitution and I'm looking at the present situation on the ground. It seems to be very disturbing. Those who sat down and framed that constitution did not do it in good faith. They had a wrong reason for doing it. And copying a system which was failing, and the French people themselves knew it was failing. Then they instituted in Cameroon. Okay, if we have to do reforms like you want to hear, there you want me to point areas. I mean that the whole constitution will need to be reformed, which implies there will be need for a new constitution to be drafted. And in that constitution, there should be space to actually valorize the two main cultures that exist in Cameroon, because some people will say we have multiculturalism. Yes, Cameroon has more than 200 and something tribes. But the two regions of the English speaking have also many tribes. You see, don't forget this, because the French, most Francophone brothers believe that Anglophones, they are a particular tribe in Cameroon, because they have been reduced to a tribe. But they don't know that in the northwest, southwest, you have over, I think you can say close to 100 tribes. In the northwest, southwest. Put together. With this, there is multi-tribal links. But when we talk of the culture which was imposed on us by virtue of colonialism, which has become our culture, because today I'm not speaking my dialect here, I'm speaking English. This is the culture in which I was grown, and that is a language I learned. I was not encouraged to learn mine. So when they were drawing the constitution, they did not take into consideration the various tribal settings. There was no ethno-anthropological links. They actually took the cultural, the socio-cultural positioning. So, if I'm coming from the northwest and southwest, I am an Anglophone. If you are coming from the East Cameroon, which has to do with from the north down to the south, you are a Francophone. And being a Francophone, these two cultures, according to our so-called constitution, have the same status. And question, if they have the same status, then you look at the socio-professional experiences on the ground. It doesn't fit. It is the French language that dominates. When you look at the language that needs to yield to the other, it is the English language that needs to yield to the other. And you cannot take two asymmetrical cultures and link them.
Okay.
You can't bring them together.
Thank you, Prof.
So, I want to point something here.
To
be brief. No.
You have been talking about.
Okay, to be brief on this position. To be brief on this position. If you take two cultures which are asymmetrical and bring them together, they cannot fit. That is why, if you go back to 1961, Dak Hammarskjöld said that bringing the southern Cameroons and putting it under La République du Cameroun is like placing a ball, pushing a ball under the sea. And what happens when you push a ball under the sea? A balloon. It must come out.
We are facing the balloon now.
That is the problem. So to solve this problem, they must build a constitution that gives these two different cultures autonomy.
Okay.
Where they can enjoy their autonomy, then interdepend. If not that, I will be sincere in telling you this. We will never have a good experience in Cameroon, because if they struggle to say we have any today, it will come back.
Thank you,
tomorrow.
Prof. Good afternoon to you all in the studio. I am enjoying the program. Everything in Cameroon is full of corruption. Make our president step down. Me, I don't like him. Mota Muhammad from Southwest. This one reads, it says, I think these two entities will be difficult to come together. Looking at the destruction carried out by the military of Mr. So even they amend the constitution, it will be difficult to peacefully stay with the Yaoundé regime. Is coming from Kebulu, writing from extreme north. Kebulu from extreme north. This one reads, it says, good afternoon to you all in the studio. I'm enjoying the program. Please, where you're texting us, tell us where you are so we can probably acknowledge you. Hi to you all in the studio. The Constitution of Cameroon has been tampered with severally. Violation of the 1961 Constitution, tempered in 1965 and in 1968, amended in 1972, 1975, 1990, 1996, 2008, etc. I concur with the viewer who said that the post of the Prime Minister should be given to La République, and that of the President should be given to the Southern Cameroonian for 60 years. It's coming from Chida from Bamenda. This one read, it says, good afternoon, greetings. Let Cameroon authorities stop using the wrong paint on a wrong surface. Who are amending the constitution? Since they started amending the so-called constitution, has it ever been implemented? Let the two countries, Southern Cameroon and the Republic Cameroon, sit on the table with a neutral third party. This other recent reaction is that why and when did they amend the constitution to put the Senate in place? Is it because the president shall be there till death? I'm talking about Article 20, Sub 2 of the 1996 Constitution, which says the president of the Senate shall be the former head of state. NS from United Arab Emirates. My regards to the panelists. Shay watching us from Holland. He says, greetings, Mr. Tajavis. I am watching from The Hague, Netherlands. Met Ninkov. Thank you very much, Mr. Ninkov. Those of you who are sending us your SMS, I think the SMSs are too many. We'll just read a few. If we're unable to read your text message, please don't be offended. The head and the eye suffer when this ear refuses to hear. Kangaroo regime, Unawan Kiwi. Good day to you all in the studio. Thanks. I'm Rene from Kumba. Good afternoon to you in the studio. Cameroon has no constitution. If they have any reform with same people, will no change. Charles from Kumba. This one reads, it says, please allow Prof to talk. He is explaining very well. It's coming from 5. We don't have much time. We have other panelists. Happy Sunday to you all in the studio. Cameroon need now spiritual one, or let us pray. Let us pray. Wine should finish. Let us pray that wine should finish. Governing Cameroon now, so that maybe upcoming will be. Good day, House of Commons. We need to visit the Constitution. Bill from Kumbu. Good day, House of Commons. Why can't Northwest and Southwest organize? Fasting and prayer? Maybe God will bring change. With having a communication service, from a communication service to a communication service, nothing has changed. Mr. Mayor, brief interaction before we move to the last phase, as far as the Constitution is concerned. Amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Jarvis. I would like to state some facts here that we are turning a blind eye to. We know that the United States of America is made up of states, and not all the laws are applicable across all the states. There are states in the United States of America that do not recognize LGBT rights. Yes. There are states in the United States of America that still practice the killing or the penalty. there are states in the United States where polygamy is not a crime. But the United States is a single country. Each state is autonomous in drafting its laws and practicing its culture according to the people who live in that region. Yeah. But yet the United States is still a country. That could still be applied in Cameroon, where the laws applicable to a particular people of a particular culture could be left to exist within the same country. This, in essence, is talking about the bijural nature of Cameroon.
And the bicultural.
And the cephalous nature.
Right. That is what I'm talking about. We'll look at Nigeria. Nigeria, on record, has more than 400 tribes. Nigeria has states where Islamic laws are applied. Nigeria is a federation. Nigeria has existed. Nigeria practices what we call geopolitical zoning, where people of the same ethnicity or of the same dimensions are grouped together to portray the culture of their place and defend it and create it into autonomous regions. This could still be practiced in Cameroon. We need to copy what is working somewhere. We need to implement what is working somewhere in Cameroon. This, in essence, is going to the pointer that we look at the fact that giving autonomy to regions is tantamount to giving them independence. I beg to differ with that. We have to reinforce the autonomous nature of the regions created. We need to group Cameroon into geopolitical regions where, let me put it clearly, that we will not see people of the same ethnic background occupying the most important positions in the country. This is a slap to the people of Cameroon face. And this, I tell you, is the reason why you see armed groups rising up all over the country, because they feel that they are being looked down. They don't have any representation. If you see a movement coming up, like the MLC, how they call it, that the Movement de Libération du Cameroun, that is coming from the north, it is sending out videos. We don't need to take that threat lightly. We need to look into how we have to give autonomy to regions to manage their problems, create geopolitical regions in Cameroon so that the people will be able to feel the representation. And this has to be embodied into the constitution of Cameroon, where we say, if the president is from this region, the vice president, I'm talking of what should be included into a new constitution. The vice president should come from this region. We should create a governor who can direct the development of a region, who can take full responsibility in directing the administration of a region. We don't need a situation where, like what we saw here in Douala, the mayor giving a communique to manage his council, and then the SDO coming to override that decision. This situation should not exist. Thank you.
Okay, fine. I want you are of the CRM. If CRM was to be in power today, would they respect the same constitution?
No way.
Because you are saying that the issue is the government in place and not, I will first of all start by removing the government in place.
You know that of recent, Professor Maurice come to launch a special activity where we're bringing together different political parties and civil society organizations to press on the regime for electoral reforms. And when we talk about electoral reforms, it boils down because it has a connection directly with the Constitution. And so if you look at it, because we realize that the system put in place, it's like you have what you call bad laws that you hang on them and say you are constitutional. As you make bad laws, you put them in place deliberately, and then they start working for your favor. And when then somebody wants to oppose, you say the person is acting unconstitutional, as if the law itself is constitutional, whereas the law itself was carefully worked out to keep some old guards in place. And that's why you see us completely kicking against that, and we'll kick against that till the kingdom come. Now, if you look at it critically, the issue of the laws in place, amendments, just like our brother just rightly said, even when we talk about prime minister, whatever the case might be, the main issue here will be what are some of the, what is the content of that amendment of the law. I can get up to that and say I'm amending a law of probably no school fees for primary schools, no this, no that. And then I tell you, okay, it will be applicable in the next 50 years to come. It's just like you have not done anything. It's just like you have not done anything. But we're making a whole noise that, hey, we have amended the law, free education, free all the like. It's the same situation we say we are going through here, that if you look at it critically, Yaoundé has that system of testing the ground to know whether is it rough before they put their leg. So they will make some fast statements, do some dancer fast, the digitalization and all the like, and then they watch it and see. Now, I don't know how it looks like, but I think that if those in Douala and Furi, for example, were like probably the same approach, could use the same approach that we use in the English speaking, where we feel that our right, this issue between the mayor and the SDO should have been very hot, because it shows that there's no digitalization. That's already the exact proof. Because if you can challenge a mayor openly, an elected official, and you put delegating statements, official,
what's the mandate of the people?
What's the mandate of the people? It means something is wrong. So I think that while we talk about all of this, I know there's a kangaroo system. They will hear us talk and they will say, no, let's parler. Il faut parler. Dès qu'ils ont this fatigue, ils vont laisser. But you know, it's an arrogant system carefully put in place. That's why I say that I'm regretting for not seeing a CPDM man here, because we would have, I would have been hung on the person's neck right now, because they are the ones who are helping to carve those funny kind of things and giving the impression that Cameroon is a state of law. As you yourself used to say, Cameroon is a state of law. A state of law in a quagmire and kangaroo system is a state of no law. That's what we find ourselves.
State of law now, Mr. Fai.
That's what you used to say.
That's what I'm saying.
See where we are. If you have a state of law that works in a quagmire and kangaroo system, it's the same like there's no law. Just like our brother Emmanuel said. In fact, there's no law in this country. Because here, people work the way they want to do. How do you explain that I committed a crime in Bamenda? There is a court in Bamenda. There's a military tribunal in Bamenda. We committed a crime in Ndonga Mantu. There is a competent court of first instance, high court, all in Kamer. But I am transferred directly to Yaoundé. Do you call that law?
Maybe the jurisdiction of that particular crime, everything is supposed to be.
Chairman, if you're a spokesman of the government, just better become Emmanuel Rene Sade, because all is not working. And as I see, in fact, this is a failed state. The only thing we can do now on the amendments of the constitution, whatever the case might be.
It's under that state that you are heading the task force of coal.
It is under the state that I am heading, and I tell you that we are heading it, and it is not going. Do you know? Okay, look at it. At the entrance on Mingo Bridge, we used to have a COVID test area, right? Do you know it disappeared? It disappeared more than 7 months ago. Are you telling me that COVID-19 is finished? No. And I said on several platforms that if you are in a commission, it does not stop you from castigating if it's not doing the right work. It doesn't stop you. The delegates, they might be angry. I've been telling them. First, when they were working, they will come in the morning at 8 and close at 5. Are you telling me that before 8 and after 5, COVID does not get into Southwest? And it was supposed to be on 2 ways. Because you could get it from Southwest, you bring it into Littoral, you get it from Littoral, you move. So that one had failed on arrival. They know what I'm talking about. And today, go to Munya Market. Imagine the government that tells you that they are banning official days 11 February and 8th of March because of COVID-19. But they are currently organizing activities commemorating that day when we find population coming together.
They are launching it.
They are launching it. And people are coming together. I was just coming in Douala. I saw roadblock around Boramusa there. Yes. Population is there. Here in Boramusa, Douala 5. That population is like the population you have gathered them there to do march pass. In fact, Yaoundé is confused. You want to fight COVID-19. At the same time, you are carrying out activities that are bringing people together. So who is fooling who? Together with the overloading in the parks and all the like.
The markets.
In the markets. In fact, if you want this country to be fine, Mr. Jarvis, we can talk from here to tomorrow. The only change is the day Yaoundé regime goes on leave. When new people come in, that's when you begin to see the real Cameroon we're talking about. Okay. If not, we are singing a song with old guards staying there to enable us die in the name of fighting COVID-19. In fact, where are we today? So, Yaoundé is a kangaroo system that has expired. They are living already on injury time.
How would they go out now?
How would they go out? We have been advising them to do an honorary job. Pack your bags and get the one there and say, please, we are not able. And then you go you quietly. We can even give you clemency. Instead of running after you for embezzlement and all the like, just that fact that you live without bloodshed, we can even protect you and then forgive your sins, because at least the Bible talks about forgiveness on the 7 times. But now, they more they stay there. I am saying this over and over, they should hear. They will answer crimes against humanity whether they like it or not. I'm talking about both parties. I'm not talking about one party. So long as you are a government and you cannot maintain peace,
so you are talking
people die.
You are talking to Yaoundé and the bushes?
No, I'm talking about Yaoundé, the bushes. Everybody, you understand? Yaoundé, the bushes and whatever. But main thing is that the greater charges goes on Yaoundé, because when we have the quagmire now, if 10 million comes up, if Amber comes up, These are monsters created by the regime. The regime was ruling with good governance. We have never heard that this culture of fighting in the bush had been in the north and the southwest. So what I'm saying is that they could talk and laugh. It's a matter of time. As the COVID is coming to an end, and you say you don't want to bring amendment, there will be a tribunal where all stakeholders, governors, colonels, generals will answer who did what for people to die.
Where do we go from here? We are out of time.
I think there's something my brother said here that I buy his idea in total. We should learn to copy good examples and not only copy bad examples, because you know Cameroon is where today because Cameroon has always copied bad examples from France. And again, about the 10 million movement in the north, you see clearly that this government is at the disservice of Cameroonians. They are not at the service of Cameroon. I've always said it. If not, they have learned to pamper the causes and then fight the consequences. Because since I started getting the 10 million movement in North, no official in this country has come out to say, hey, look, stop that. We see it, the proliferation of the images in all groups, all WhatsApp groups, in the Facebook. No,
Atanganji went down and stopped it.
No. Listen, I've told you that Atanganji is part of the problem that Cameroon is having.
As
So
Cameroon
we-
Minister of
yes,
Territorial
yeah, no,
Administration,
I have-
government chief spy at
yes.
Semak, and someone who has been a workaholic.
If he is the one
and
who went
ensuring
there,
that he's everywhere and
if
making
he-
sure that
if he
Cameroonians
is the
are
one
well
who
placed,
went to
and you
know-
call him the problem of Cameroon.
if he's the one who went to know, then no doubt why the movement is becoming more stronger by the day.
Remember that he took Quran to the north and he told them to pay allegiance to Cameroon and respect the republican institutions. And this is Mr. Tanganji, who have been to almost all the sector of Cameroon, emergency relief, ensuring that the bereaved are well taken care of.
The voices. Okay. You know, I have often told you that this Mr. Tanganji, I saw most of the times I wonder if he has advisors. And if he was really having advisors, every day we will not be talking about him, because we talk about him every day because each time he comes out, he magnifies and aggravates a situation. But that's not our topic for today. Way forward. The constitution has to be amended. And for the constitution to be amended, like I said from the first point, those who are in government now, who have already overstayed, who have already overlived their state there, they have to leave peacefully. And then reconciliation, because Cameroon, in all facets now, social, political, and economic, they are disagreed.
There's no time.
So we need total reconciliation of Cameroonians first, before even the amendment of Cameroon or of the constitution. And this amendment must not be done by those who created the problem, because those who create the problems of yesterday cannot create the pleasures of today.
Briefly, you wanted to
and
react
tomorrow.
before we move to Professor Kumon?
Like, I wanted to say this again, that it is not only amending the constitution and creating the enabling environment for change to come to Cameroon. We need actually to carry out education. Civil society organizations need to go in the background and carry out education of the citizen on their right. The social contract need to be dispensed to the people. The people should understand their role with the government. There is a problem, a serious problem going on in this country. I've traveled the length and breadth of this country, from north to south, going across this country. My brother, I will tell you, there is a serious problem of identification papers. Cameroon has refused handing its citizens identification papers. You go across controls, it is horrible. Almost every citizen who bought a car,
telling us is that the state have decided not to give people their
it is horrible. Travel across the country, you will know what this issue of ID card is. And I'm blaming some political parties or the political parties in Cameroon. They are not doing their job. How will you
not doing his job?
No, how will you register your voters if they don't have ID cards? This is a situation that they are supposed to take up and fight for the citizens to have their papers. to have their identification paper so that they can ask them to register on electoral list to be able to vote them into office.
Maybe it's because it's not calling.
So we need to redefine. We need to educate the population on their rights.
Going forward, Prof, briefly, there's no time. Look at the clock, we're out of time.
Mr. Jarvis, we have been speaking for close to an hour, 30 minutes. What I would say is, as long as the Cameroon believes in the doctrine of popular sovereignty, it is necessary that they understand that they need to be accountable to the sovereign people of Cameroon, because they derive their power from them according to their constitution. As long as they derive their power from the people, they need to be responsible to the people as well as they are supposed to give account to the people. But in Cameroon here, like Mr. Hennes just pointed out, you discover that the people, the elites or those elected into office are working at the disservice of the people who have elected them into office. I can't give you power and I am your boss, but you threaten me at every given moment. Cameroonians are living in practical fear. So if you ask me the way forward, simple way forward is that we need to go back, redraft the constitution of Cameroon, make it to suit the situation in which we find ourselves. We are a people with multi-ethnic groups, and apart from that, we are a bicultural people. We have two dominant cultures in Cameroon. Those two dominant cultures should be given their place of autonomy.
Yeah. And
where the society, where the people are, they should be groomed to grow from their from the cultural background. They should grow in that particular place. When it comes to the socio-political background, they should grow in it. And when it comes to the socio-professional background, they should work in it. Because when you look at the situation in Cameroon where an individual is supposed to school, do English education, then when he wants to go and work in the public, he needs to be submitted to 2-3 years of Francophone education.
Okay.
And in such a situation, you cannot become productive because you are being merged.
Okay.
And your brain power is, you are expected to inculcate values you do not grow with. So in such a case, there is need that the constitution should be drafted to fit in this thing and to help Cameroonians to become productive in this nation.
Thank you, Prof.
And some particular individuals, before we round up,
there's no time now, Prof.
Yes, some particular individuals who are sitting in power for centuries, they need to give up power. When I say give up, it means that they must know that there's limit to leadership.
Okay.
Let the young ones also take over the helm of the nation.
Greetings, great mind. Thanks for a wonderful roundtable discussion. This one is coming from an anonymous sender. This one reads, it says, so long as the same people are still there since 1960, I doubt the future of the nation. Jack in Yaoundé. Fight Tayang, before we go briefly, what's the way forward?
Well, I'll keep on saying the only way forward is for those in power to go on leave. There is no way you can tell me that people have been in power for more than 40, 50 years, old guards, they keep changing and they will yield fruits. Because if they want to do amendment, they cannot do an amendment that will push them out of power. It's impossible. Know that. They will do amendment to make sure that they touch things that will keep them. The ones that will want to remove them, they'll keep. At the end of it, we will never have a joining amendment of the constitution. So the simple good thing is that Cameroon, we need to redo the country. That's the bitter truth.
How do we redo it?
To redo the country means that once those are to go on leave, I say all of them, all. When they go on leave, you close parliament, you close National Assembly, you begin the country from square one. That's when you will know that people are still talking. Let me say this, Mr. Why wrapping up? People will only get to regret that we have lost more than 60 years in captivity the day they see a new leader. When we have a new leader, even for 3 years constitution, provisional government in place, then for 3 years, the development will record. People will sit on the ground, put their hands on their head and said, we were truly in darkness. So the simple way forward is, people in Yaoundé, it has already shown that there's nothing they can offer. They're already recycling. So let them just go on leave. We get anybody, I'm not talking about CRM, anybody can come there, work for 3 years as a probation, then put in place the enabling environment, and then the real people go in, That is when we will enjoy the taste of Cameroon. If it is these very people, these very people I know in a 2D and all the like in Yaoundé, we are simply wasting time.
Thank you very much, Fighter. Just 30 seconds.
Yes, 30 seconds. And if even we were to go into this amendment of the Constitution, even as it is still a Romo, it should consider all the living forces of Cameroon. It should not be a matter of the ruling party. Everybody should count.
Okay, yeah, last word before we go. Briefly. Last word before we go briefly.
We need to educate Cameroonians. We cannot encourage the people to advocate for change if they don't know what the change will do for them. We need to educate Cameroonians on the social contract, and they need to understand what is the relationship they have with their government. What are they supposed to do for their government, and what is their government supposed to do for them? In this case, every one of us will be able to stand and consciously cast our vote, consciously select our leaders who are going to deliver to us the kind of fruits we need in our society.
Claudius from Limbe, I appreciate all what you are doing there, especially Mr. Tayang. Good things to you all in the studio. I think it is high time we correct the idea of Anglophones or Francophones. Speaking English doesn't make someone an Anglophone, but English speaking Cameroonian does it. Does it make me? Does it make me as a Mendankwe man speak Mendankwe makes me become a body man? It's coming from Achus from Yaoundé. Acha from Yaoundé. This other read says, good afternoon in the studio, nice program. This Wahala don't pass me, O Masa. It's coming from Boku. If government has ears, let them hear. It's coming from Clinton. And create more time because your programs are very educative. It's for the management to see into that. It is not within my power to create more time. We want to apologize for the fact that time is we're almost out of time. Professor Mark, thanks for coming.
It's my pleasure, Thomas Jarvis. Every time I'm called on, I'll be there.
And of course, I want to thank you very much, Mr. Ndungu from coming.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you very much, Mr. May, from coming.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And of course, the kangaroo man, we hope Yaoundé has taken down note, and we hope you too, you have taken down the note from the people and the note from Mr. NS that you political parties are not working.
Well, that is on our session. If we are working, we must not come and make it on air. There are things we do on air. There are things we do out the background. But the main thing is that you would only know the parties that are working when the change effectively comes. But the fight for the change is on. www.btmediagroup.net is our official website. www.btmediagroup.net is our website. You can get us on Facebook, My Media Prime, or you can go to our YouTube channel to watch all of our programs. All programs on My Media Prime is on our YouTube channel, which is BT Media Group is our YouTube channel name. BT Media Group. Go to BT Media Group on YouTube and subscribe and get all of our program. On Twitter, our Twitter handle is My Media Prime. Twitter My Media Prime, and this program is rebroadcast from 10:30 p.m. on Sunday, 10:30 p.m. on Sunday, and exactly 9:30 p.m. on Monday. We have a rebroadcast, and every Sunday at exactly 12 to 1:30 we have this live edition produced by Ewane Lolinga Li. Thank you, Desmond. Thank you, Noel. Thanks to all those who took our time to contribute on today's edition of our program. We want to apologize for not reading all of your SMSs. We want to thank all those who equally participated on Facebook to say, courage, brothers and sisters, and all those of you who could not text, I want to say we acknowledge you that. Until we meet again, no matter the matter, what matter is your matter. No matter the matter, what matter is your matter. And what should matter for you is that Corona is real. Whether you believe it or not, get your face masks, get yourself physical distancing, because if you rely on this same government, you will know the ending result, as Kangaroo Man always puts it. My name is Thomas Jarvis from Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. Bye-bye, and stay out of trouble. Until we meet again, stay blessed.